Welcome to the Social Lights podcast with Kate vanderVoort, where I interview changemakers and innovators on how they connect with their tribe on social media. Brought to you by Social Mediology. Welcome, everyone. I am here with the amazing Julie Mason, who is the founder and creator of Linked Sales Formula and Gutsy Business, which is all about helping small to medium-sized businesses scale and grow. Now, I'm doing something a little bit different for the launch of this podcast, and I thought it would be fun if I asked my dear friend Julie to interview me for podcast number one, episode number one, so that you can find out a little bit more about me and why it is that I have launched Social Lights as a new podcast. So I am going to hand over the reins to the beautiful Julie Mason.
Well, thank you, Kate. I am super excited about your new podcast, Social Lights, and I am delighted and honoured to be here to interview you on your very first episode. So thank you. And I want to kick things off. I've got a couple of questions here to ask you that I'm sure your listeners will want to know, because they want to know who this amazing woman is I've had the pleasure to know and work with, but I'm pretty sure they'll want to know a bit about you as well. So let's kick things off. As this podcast is called Social Lights, I want to know what lights you up, Kate, and what inspires you to get out of bed in the morning?
Oh, well, I love connecting people. I have always been a connector since I was really young. You know, I'd be in the playground and I'd be connecting people and introducing people and creating games and putting people all in the right places. So connecting really lights me up. And what I love about that is seeing it's kind of that whole, the sum is greater than the parts. You know, when you bring the right elements together, what can come out of that can be really magical. And so I love connecting people around the people, the projects, the products, the passions that they have. And that's really what my business and my passions were all about.
And I know, because I've been involved in some of your programs and seen you speak, and I know that you are amazing at helping people connect the dots around social as well, you know, how to use it. So that's a pretty impressive skill to do, because it's such a complex world. So well done. And I think that's a great thing that I can see this little picture of you as a young child connecting everyone in the playground and getting them in their roles. That's awesome.
Some might have called me bossy, but
we call that assertive nowadays, not bossy, assertive. and leadership's another great word for that. Let's just say that.
There you go.
So tell us a little bit about your journey to starting Social Lights as a podcast. What inspired you to do a podcast?
Well, I started out when I first was at uni, I thought I wanted to be a social worker. So that was where I started. But that system and kind of the bureaucracy around that didn't work very well for me. And I moved into the not-for-profit sector and spent 15 years in senior management in that sector. And then I found I was getting a bit frustrated with some of the limitations in the not-for-profit sector. So I went out on my own and created a strategy business for the not-for-profit sector. But it was 10 years ago, and it was just when social media was starting, and it was kind of the big black hole that people were really struggling with. So I very quickly started specializing in social media. And the last 10 years, I've been working on community management and strategy and crisis management and teaching other businesses and working with teams on how to really use these technologies in a way to connect them to their ideal customer. And so for me, I love doing that. I absolutely love what I do, and I feel very blessed to have found kind of my calling in that way. But I still have this little niggling feeling that there's more for me. And what gives me goosebumps, you know, that's kind of the the measure for me when I'm running this, when I'm choosing people to interview in this podcast, is when I hear about these amazing projects with change makers and innovators and leading lights, you know, people who are really pushing the boundaries around what's possible and really tackling the world's biggest issues. I get goosebumps when I hear about these amazing projects and products and passion and purpose that people have. There's lots of P's in there. So I really, the Social Lights podcast for me is about connecting with those people and learning more about the work that they do, but more specifically also how they use social media and technology to connect with their tribe. Because I think, you know, we have a lot to learn from those who are influencers and at the leading edge of what it is that they're doing around how they activate people. And I think businesses and not-for-profits and individuals have got a lot to learn about how to do that effectively.
And it does come back to that tribe, you know, building. I'm not sure that I like the word tribe per se, but building that community spirit, and using social to actually illuminate your message and your gifts, your skills that you can provide others. Like, you know, I know how passionate you are about community projects, particularly in relation to some that you're very close to home for you at the moment. But yeah, it's a great, you know, reason to, in my opinion, to start a podcast. To not only is it your passion, but you then give them a platform to shine their light a little bit brighter out to the people who are listening. So I think that's a really heart-centered place to start, you know, something like this. That's really good. That's awesome. Awesome. What's your vision? What do you see when you look at Social Lights and where you want to take it? What's your vision for that?
My real vision is just to inspire other people with amazing stories so that they know that they can do the same thing. You know, I have so many colleagues and friends who have great ideas and things that they want to do, and for whatever reason there are limiting beliefs or things they tell themselves about how they can't do it. And, you know, I've already started doing some of these interviews and speaking to some of these people. They're just average, everyday people who had a vision, had an idea, and backed themselves and went for it. And because of their absolute authenticity and genuineness and following their passion, they've attracted the right people to them, both on social media and face-to-face and in the various ways that they all work. But I really just want this to be an inspiration for other people. Of course, I'd love them to learn some strategies and techniques along the way. And I'm making sure, you know, to ask in these interviews some of those really tangible questions so that people have got some skills they can go away with. But really, I guess the other part of it is, you know, and one of the interviews I've just done, there's a real shadow side to social media. And there's a real shadow side to some of the negativity and the bullying. And I think it's really important to shine a light on that, but it's equally important to shine a light on how people can use it for good. And so that's really the purpose of this, is to inspire others to use these technologies in ways that can really bring people together around things that matter.
And I think that ties in. I think that kind of answers my next question about what impact do you want your podcast to make. I think that really answers that question as well. So if you could use technology and social media to connect yourself, how do you recommend people use, or what can you share around using, you know, the amazing tools that we've got nowadays? I mean, you know, we only have to go back 10 or 12 years. We didn't have this opportunity that we have now in today's environment to build this connection, to build this amazing opportunity to get our message out to a greater audience. You know, what would your advice be to everybody around using technology and social media to connect with their tribe?
You know, whether it's the corporates that I work with or right down to the solopreneurs, or even, you know, the stay-at-home mum who's got a side hustle, whatever size of business or reputation or brand somebody or a business has. For me, the thing that stands out and that sees the most success categorically every single time is being human, and is for people to bring themselves to the social media, to their marketing, to the story that they're telling, because it is the fastest way to build that know, like, and trust, to build that relationship and to connect with other humans. And as you say, we have unprecedented opportunity now to do that, that the largest corporates in the world have got the same functionality as the smallest businesses in the world and the micro businesses to be able to tell their story. And the ones, and this is shone through in every interview I've done so far, is that it's the human, genuine, authentic person that gets the most benefit from these platforms, because humans want to connect with humans and they want inspiration and they want to feel like somebody truly understands them. And so if you can be human and put yourself in the shoes of the people that you're serving or wanting to connect with, that is the fastest way to see tangible results from social media.
I bet that's a pretty scary prospect to a lot of people out there though, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's the work that you and I do in helping people to, develop that mindset. And, I love the programs that you're running now are very much around mindset and helping people get over some of those barriers. A lot of the work that I do is around the culture change that needs to happen either in businesses or individually, but that culture change that helps people to think about this in a different way, because it doesn't come naturally to everybody.
It really doesn't. Not everybody's an extrovert and happy to get on video and happy to, share the details of their day or to, just to be authentic. Like they're not used to that. We're used to putting a facade on, and social can actually do a bit, of that, where we just give the 5-minute sporting highlights of how our day's gone, which is all the good stuff. And sometimes we don't share some of that more vulnerable side of things, which is actually, interestingly enough, where some of the real power lies of connection. Do you know what I mean? We don't often connect with just the triumphs. We need to connect with the struggle to get there. That's the inspirational part, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And I think, those that are authentic, those that are real, those that show it just how it is, are the ones that people resonate with. And you can see example after example of how that works, and the amazing relationships and amazing impact and outcome that groups of people can have when they connect around something that is a real genuine need or passion or purpose.
Now, I know you'll be asking many of the people you interview this, but I know how much good ideas that you've got to share. So this is going to be a tough one for you, because you're going to narrow it down, the dear Kate, to just what's one piece of advice that you can share with others on how to inspire others to take action.
You know what? I feel like I've already shared this. I'm going to make this really simple for you.
Okay. I love simple.
Be human. Be human. Be authentic. And be brave. Sometimes we just need to step out and be brave, and you're not going to break anything. It's not like you're going to, by being authentic or by being real, that you're going to damage anything in your business or damage your reputation. All of this, as we know, is, it's why I called my company Social Mediology. It's kind of like alchemy. It's a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and you just need to test and try and be open to what might happen, because it's often far greater than we think it's going to be. And so I'm so excited to be connecting with just amazing humans who are doing amazing things in their life that are having a very real impact. And, a lot of them are very small projects, or they're very small efforts, I guess, but they're having a really big impact on the planet and on the people on it. So I'm super excited to be delving into all of that.
And you never know who you're inspiring, do you? That's the thing.
Right.
You know, people will watch you. We're in a time where we have a lot of observation on us, and you never know who's watching and who you're inspiring by taking action. So for everybody who's listening, I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to be subscribing to this podcast, so can't wait to hear the interviews that you've got coming up for us, and to be inspired and to take action by the social lights, as we're going to be calling them, that you'll be interviewing. But if you could share anything else that you would like to share before we wrap up for your very first, congratulations, your very first podcast today.
Maybe I can just give a very quick overview of some of the people that will be coming up.
That would be awesome.
So I won't name names. I'll just give you a couple of the little
teasing.
I'm interviewing an amazing woman who is teaching young girls how to code. So through a doll and an app, teaching young girls how to code. I can't wait to speak to her and to actually give that to my children. I've interviewed an author who is doing phenomenal work around bullying and helping young people to really find their uniqueness. So I can't wait to share that. I'm interviewing someone who is making 3D printed hands for free for children who are born with a limb difference, something that's very close to my heart, as my 3-year-old was born without her left hand. So I'm interviewing the amazing human behind the new hand that she's just received. And then there's the woman, an Indigenous woman, who's bringing Indigenous wisdom into artificial intelligence.
Wow.
So all of these are really looking at the intersection between humanity and technology. And I'm just super excited to bring all of that through in this podcast. So thank you so much, Julie, for joining me today and interviewing me, being in the hot seat. I'm looking forward to being on the other side for the rest of this podcast series.
Awesome. Everyone subscribe. It's going to be awesome.
And please go and check out Julie's amazing courses and the work that Julie does at juliemason.com. She is well worth checking out and a powerhouse in her own right. So thank you so much, Julie, for being here with me today.
Pleasure. Thanks, Kate.
Thank you for joining us on the Social Lights podcast, produced by Social Mediology. You can connect with us on Facebook at Social Lights Podcast, and you can find today's show notes and more episodes at socialmediology.com.au/social lights. Please subscribe in your favourite podcast platform to receive future episodes and share with your tribe to inspire others to action.